Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're making apple crisp and we're going to top it with some nuts. We're going to be using walnuts, almonds, and pecans with a little butter. It's delicious, guys, easy to make and pretty healthy. Not a lot of sugar, and I think you'll love it. So I'm Rockin Robin and I'm going to show you how to do it right after this. All right, let's go over our ingredients and we'll get started. First up is our apples. Now, I like to use Granny Smith or Pippin, Pippin's being my favorite, but they're hard to find this time of year, so I usually end up with the Granny Smiths, so we got 4 of those. And so our filling will include some white sugar, brown sugar, plenty of cinnamon, because I think it really makes it taste wonderful, and a little bit of thickener. So I'm using a little bit of arrowroot here. You can use cornstarch if you want, but I think you need to add a little bit of thickener to this. Otherwise, the juice from the apples is very, very runny, and I like to have a little body in there, so that's why I add just a little bit of thickener. For our topping, I have my trio here of nuts. I have pecans, almonds, and walnuts, which we're going to process in a food processor. And we're going to sweeten it up with a little maple syrup, real stuff, some butter, more cinnamon, just a little more cinnamon for that, and a pinch of salt. That's it. And you can get all these ingredients and the amounts down below in the description of this video. Please click where it says show more. I get this question all the time, so I have to feel like I need to repeat it in most videos so that people can find the written recipe. So check down there, you'll find it. So we're going to start our recipe by peeling and coring and slicing our apples. So this little tool works really great. Separates everything, takes the core out. So then you want to peel. And then we're going to place our apples into a pot, because whenever I make apple crisp or apple pie, I always cook my apples ahead of time. I know I'm going to get this question: does my apple pie or apple crisp turn out with mushy apples? And the answer has been consistently no. For whatever reason, it cooks perfectly. And when you make an apple pie, for example, you know, you get some of those pies where you have the crust that's way above the apples. That's because they didn't cook it first. So in order to avoid that, you want to cook your apples. Now with an apple crisp, you're not so concerned about that. But I find that my apples cook up perfectly. So I highly recommend that you do it. And this one's only cooking in the oven for probably 15, maybe 20 minutes. So that really wouldn't cook the apples enough in my view. So I'm going to go ahead and slice all of the apples just like you see here. And when I get done with that, we'll add the rest of the ingredients for the filling. All right, so we're down to our last apple here, and this is what I've got in my pot. Now, you can check and see if you have enough apples. We'll do a little check for you here. Here's my 8x8 baking dish that I'm going to be cooking this in. And we'll toss the apples in and see how they fit. And if there's not enough, then we can add more. Now this looks pretty good, but remember, I'm going to be cooking these, and what happens is they cook down. So I'm going to add one more apple, and it just depends on how big your apples are. So after adding that last apple, you can see how full our dish is, and again, this is going to cook down. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my pot. Whoopsie, a couple overboards there. And we'll add the sugars, the white and the brown sugar and the cinnamon to this pot. Sprinkle it in. It's the sugar that's going to make the liquid in our crisp. And then of course we're going to add our arrowroot to thicken things up. So you don't have to worry about your apples turning brown when you make this or an apple pie, because the cinnamon's going to make everything turn brown anyway, so you're good to go there. All right, so I'm going to place this on the stove and get this cooking. So we're going to start this on medium-low temperature and then probably reduce it to low, and I'm going to cover it. So So while our apples are cooking over there on the stove in the cinnamon spices and all the deliciousness going on over there, and by the way, I think most people when they make apple pie and apple crisp, they never use enough cinnamon, and it makes a world of difference. So if they say a teaspoon, I put in 2. So you're gonna notice a little bit more cinnamon with my recipe, and you're gonna love it. All right, so now we're gonna work on the topping. So I'm gonna take everything basically and place it in a food processor. So I'll toss in the nuts first. Sprinkle in the cinnamon, a pinch of salt, some melted butter, and we're going to add our maple syrup. And then we're just going to pulse this up until it's crumbly. And you can make this as small or, you know, as fine as you want it to be. If you like a little more chunky, leave it a little more chunky. Scrape down the sides every once in a while because the big pieces kind of stay up on the sides. So you can kind of see here how, you know, it's still a little chunky, but it's certainly broken down quite a bit. So the apples are done. They cooked for somewhere between 15 and 18, probably about 18 minutes, okay? So on low heat. We want to keep it low because we don't want it to burn, right? The sugars will burn. So they are perfect. The steam rising there. And I've got my oven preheated right now to 375 degrees. So we're going to place the apples into our dish. And they are softened and they have cooked down a bit. And then just, you know, press your apples out evenly into your dish. And you can see now that they're not nearly taking up as much space as they did when they were not cooked, right? Okay, so that's it. And then now we're gonna take our hands, clean hands of course, and we're gonna pick up our topping here. And it's a little bit sticky, it's a little bit crumbly, and we're just gonna drop it right on top and we're gonna sprinkle it all over until we cover the whole thing. All right, so we're gonna pop this in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit we're gonna check it at 15 minutes. What we're looking for is for a crisp to get a little bit darkened, you know, a little browned up and a little bit crunchy. So while the apple crisp is cooking in the oven over there, I wanted to ask you a question. I'd like to know what you would like to see going forward with my channel. You know, types of recipes you want to see, whether it be healthy recipes, Mexican, gluten-free, whatever it is. I'd like to hear what your desire is. And then I had another idea. I thought that maybe I might start some Facebook Live videos. And those are, you know, obviously a lot different than what we do here. But, and it would be in addition to what I do here as well. So it's not like I'm, you know, substituting it out. So I was thinking, you know, I have some friends that want me to sort of teach them how to cook, some of my recipes in particular, and I was thinking maybe I would do that live. So I'd like to know what you think, if you'd like to see some of that or not. All right, let me know down in the comments. Ah, this apple crisp smells wonderful. All right, I took it out of the oven. I kept it in there for about 20 minutes. You could go another 5 maybe, but time constraints here have pushed me along. And so I'm trying to let it cool just a bit before I cut out a piece. That is super delicious. I love the sweet tart thing going on with the apples and the cinnamon. It's just, oh, it's good. And the topping has a nice contrast, of course. It's a little bit crunchy and it's got butter in there. So it's very savory. It's just, it's really good, guys. It's really delicious. I think you're gonna love it. And you might wanna try it for this holiday season for Christmas maybe, or the new year. And I think your family will enjoy it. So thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, click the subscribe button as well as the bell next to it. That way you'll be notified when new videos come out every week. And let me know what you think about this recipe, if you might make it. Let me know down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. All right, take care everybody. We'll see you in the next video.